Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer and I am the blog writer for the blog The Rolling Scones. Today we're going to make lemon chia seed scones. Scones are very easy to make. They originally come from the country Scotland, and in Britain the scones are very different than they're here in America. Here in Britain they are more like a biscuit, and you split them and you put clotted cream and jam on them and you drink them with tea. So the whole scone eating thing in Britain is the whole process of it. But in America, because society has changed so much, we are people on the move, and we don't have time to, as I call it, sit and split. We want to take our big gulp, our venti coffee, or whatever the case is, and we need to take it to go. When I have tasted scones throughout the country, I've noticed that the American scone tends to be more like a brick doorstop, more reminiscent to the British rock cake. I've tried to incorporate the flavor into the scone without having that dense hardness that you find at grocery stores or other coffee shops. So please forgive my video making skills. This is my first video. This video is dedicated to Peter, my mother's cousin in London, and I want to show that this apron was made by my grandmother-in-law, who unfortunately passed away last year in January. So I've got, my people supporting me, and I am going to show you how to make a basic batch of lemon chia seed scones. Hello. Okay, here I am again. I'm sorry, I got to adjust the camera. I have no cameraman on staff here. We are going to put 2 cups of sifted flour into a bowl. If you sift your flour, you add more air to it, which will make it a little bit lighter. You just dump it in there. It's not a big deal, but it will make for a more dense scone. So sift your flour. You want to make sure it's leveled on top. Put it in. I use just a metal sieve. It's the easiest for me. I like products that multitask in my kitchen. I have, unfortunately, way too much kitchen stuff that I love, that if I can combine things that multitask much better. This is sifted flour, as I'm sure you've weren't too amazed with. We need to add half a cup of sugar. We're going to add a teaspoon of salt. You could add sea salt. If you really like that iodized salt, you could do that. Kosher salt's not necessarily the best for baking. And then we need a teaspoon of baking powder. If there are any gluten-free people out there, yes, you can substitute my flour with a gluten-free baking mix, and it will work fine. Make sure, if you're new to gluten-free baking, that you find a baking powder that's gluten-free. Clabber Girl in America is gluten-free, just in case you're trying to make a gift for someone who's newly gluten-sensitive. I just spin that around together because I like my ingredients mixed before I move forward. And obviously it doesn't look any different, but I'll show you anyway. It just looks like, flour. We are going to now add a whole stick, otherwise known as a half a cup, of unsalted butter. When you bake, unsalted butter is better than regular butter. In fact, it's traditionally that when you read in a recipe book that it says butter, it usually means unsalted butter. Controlling the amount of salt in a recipe is important, because if not, you make for a more tougher product. We don't want that with scones. So we're going to add that in there, and you can do it with your fingers. That's how I learned. And sometimes that's better because the heat of your fingers melts the butter better. And you want it to look like breadcrumbs. Any lactose intolerant people or vegetarians, sure, you can use your earth balance in here. any other health conscious people, yes, you can go ahead and substitute it. And you just need a half a cup, and you want it room temperature. If it's too cold, then it doesn't break up. You want cold butter for pastry, and I mean like pie pastry, not for a scone. So we just wait here for a moment and get that mixed up. And that looks good. Let me lift this up. And you want it just to look like that, like it looks like breadcrumbs. When I add ingredients like chocolate chips or something, now is when I add it. So we're going to need the zest of 1 lemon. That's where most of the flavor comes when you work with citrus fruit, is the zest. And I'm going to put half a cup of chia seeds. If you can't find chia seeds, or you feel like chia seeds are too expensive, you can use poppy seeds. It's fine. That's the fun with cooking, is if you understand the recipe, you can substitute it for whatever you like. So we're mixing that up together. I like chia seeds. They're supposed to be good for your cholesterol, good if you're, they have a lot of fiber in them. They're just very healthy. So I like to experiment with them a lot. Now I'm not sure how well you can see this with the light, but it basically looks like a flour mixture with butter, and you can see those chia seeds in there. Next, we're going to add half a cup of milk, and I put a teaspoon of vanilla in there to add a little more flavor to it, and we're going to mix that around. And it's going to come together pretty quickly, and it's going to come together as a big sticky ball. But you know you've done well. If you add too much, then it's going to be stuck to the sides. See how that just comes off there? That's how you want your scone. It's like that. Now, in England and Scotland, they would roll this out and use cookie cutters. They tend to like a round scone, just like we like round biscuits. And but what I do is I got a scone pan. Some people know it as a cornbread pan, and I use that. I've got, or sometimes I use like little mini cupcake pans if I want smaller scones. But as you see, it's sticky, it stays together, and that's what you want. I'm going to pause for a minute and get you to the next stage. Hi, I'm back again. My scones are in their scone pan. They're not perfect. They will expand as they cook. Plus, I like to have a more rustic appeal to my scones. I'm going to stick it into a hot oven, which is 425, and it'll go into the oven for about 15 minutes. My recipe makes for 8 large scones or 16 small scones. I like the small scones because, I mean, we're in a very, big gulp venti society, and to me, I just want to taste. I don't need the full scone. I want the full scone. I want the whole plate. But if I have a little ones, I don't feel as guilty. So you're going to put it in the oven for about 15 minutes.